This morning, White House border czar Tom Homan announced a drawdown of 700 personnel from the immigration crackdown there, effective today. That leaves about 2,000 agents still in the Twin Cities area. This is Homan's second week in the Twin Cities. He was sent there after the shooting death of Alex Preddy, which sparked nationwide outrage. It was the second death of a U.S. citizen by federal authorities in Minnesota. For more, let's bring in NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa. She's in St. Paul and was at that press conference. Maggie, good morning. Just what were some of the big takeaways from this announcement?
Yeah, Joe, basically, border czar Tom Homan said that he believes that this operation in Minneapolis, and again, he used the words, hadn't gone perfectly, but he calls it absolutely a success. And the reason that he says they're drawing down officers now is because they've been able, he says, to kind of narrow their enforcement footprint by, for instance, going into jails and picking up people who are in the country illegally and also have criminal records that are being let out of custody. Say they have a court date, they're being let out on bail or their own recognizance, et cetera. And he said we have an unprecedented number of counties cooperating with us and giving us that information. It was something that he had said last week. He had talked about with Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison, who later clarified. He said, I didn't make a deal with the border czar, but I just quoted existing state law to him, saying jails can do that. That's up to the counties. And Homan says they now have more counties working with them. We're going to reach out to the counties to see which ones exactly are. But then he talked about kind of the road ahead, long term. When does this operation end? And here's what he said about that.
Complete drawdown is going to depend on the cooperation, continued cooperation of local and state law enforcement and the decrease of the violence, the rhetoric, and the attacks against ICE and Border Patrol.
So you heard that there. He said this operation here in Minneapolis still continuing. As you point out, they still have 2,000 federal officers on the ground here. And he really hung the idea of ending it entirely, in part at least, on protests ending here, which is obviously something that he said he couldn't put a timeline on. So a major drawdown here, Joe, but for sure, not everyone's leaving yet.
And Maggie, real quick, I know you sort of asked about the idea that many people still feel like the worst of the worst are not the ones being targeted, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I said borders are, you talk about protesters. We've talked to them, too. And they say, look, no one's protesting the arrests of people with violent criminal histories, which is who DHS, ICE, et cetera, have all been highlighting, sending out these mugshots, releasing lists of charges. I said they tell us they're protesting things like the detainment of U.S. citizens who are then released hours later with no charges, sweeping, roving ICE patrols, where we've gotten several reports that, for instance, people of color have just been asked to prove they're U.S. citizens. And I said, have you committed or will you commit to officers ceasing these actions? And he said simply, I have told you it is now about targeted arrests. We know who we're going into arrest. And he said, if we find other people in the country illegally during those arrests, we will bring them in as well. So kind of a half answer there. It wasn't a yes, but that, Joe, was his response to that question.
All right. Maggie Vespa in St. Paul. Maggie, thank you so much.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.